special angles, we have here 45 degrees. We have 135 degrees. We have 225 degrees. And of course, we have 315 degrees. Okay, again, you have to make a right triangle connecting to, of course, the S. So this one is the right triangle. This one is the right triangle. This is the right triangle. And this one is the right triangle here. We have formed a 45 by 45 right triangle. We know that this one is 1 because that is the radius. Again, our X, our Y rather, and our X, our Y and our X, our Y and our X, our Y and our X. Okay. So we know that these two are congruent. Because if this one is 45 degrees, this one is also 45 degrees. Meaning the two sides or the two legs are congruent. Let us now get the length of this and the length of this. Meaning these two are of course the same. They have the same length. They are congruent. Therefore, again, using the Pythagorean Theorem, this one is c squared is equal to a squared plus, I will be naming it as a squared also. Why? Because they have the same length. So this one is 1 squared is equal to 2a squared. You divide it by 2. Divide both by 2. That will be equal to, of course, a squared is equal to 1 over 2. And what is the square root of 1/2? The square root of 1/2 is, of course, 1 over square root of 2. So rationalizing it, therefore, that is square root of 2 over 2. So meaning, the length of this is the square root of 2 over 2, your y, and your x is also square root of 2 over 2. Okay. We can now get, of course, the values of these functions. Your sine is y, that is square root of 2 over 2. Your cosine is x, that is square root of 2 over 2. Your tangent is sine over cosine, square root of 2 over 2 over square root of 2 over 2 is, of course, 1. Same as cotangent, square root of 2 over 2 over square root of 2 over 2, that is also equal to 1. Now, for our second, of course, we need to get the reciprocal of the square root of 2 over 2. So this is second is equal to 2 over square root of 2. That's the reciprocal of cosine. So rationalizing it, this is square root of 2 over square root of 2. This is 2 square root of 2 over 2. Or simply, this is the square root of 2. So same with, of course, cosecants because its reciprocal is fine. So this is also square. For 135 degrees, this one is 135 degrees. This one is your y and this one is your x. Your y here is, of course, positive and your x here is negative. So your x is negative, this is negative square root of 2 over 2. Your y is positive, square root of 2 over 2. So sine over cosine, that is negative 1. Cosine over sine, that is negative 1. And then for the second, this one is the reciprocal, it's negative square root of 2. And this one is the reciprocal, it's square root of 2. For 225, the y is negative and the x is also negative. So therefore, it's negative square root of 2 over 2, negative square root of 2 over 2, and then negative divided by negative is positive. Negative divided by negative is positive. And then the reciprocal is negative square root of 2, negative square root of 2. Okay. For the last one, 315, this one is your y, which is, of course, negative here. And this one is your x, which is positive. So this is negative square root of 2 over 2. This one is positive square root of 2 over 2. This is negative 1, negative 1. And for the reciprocal of second, we have this one. So this is square root of 2. And for the reciprocal of cosecant, this one is negative square root of 2. Moving on to the last set of special angles. We know that this one is 60. This one is 120. This one is 240. And this one is equivalent to 300. This one is degrees. Okay. Now, I will be connecting it again to the x to form right triangle. Okay, this one is our right triangle, right triangle, right triangle, right triangle. Our y here is this one and our x here is this one. Again, this one is a 30 by 60 right triangle. This time, this is 60 and this one is of course 30. Again, it says in the theorem, in a 30 by 60 right triangle, the side opposite, of course, of the 30-degree angle is equal to 1/2 of course, the radius or the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse here is 1, which is, of course, the radius. Therefore, this one is 1/2. We have solved that already for the y value. This one is square root of 3 over 2. Okay. So this one again is your x and this one is your y. Let us now get the values of this angle. Our x here is cosine. This is 1/2. Our y here is square root of 3 over 2. Okay. To find the tangent again, we just divide square root of 3 over 2 by 1/2. That is sine over cosine. This is the square root of 3. To get the reciprocal of this is 1 over, of course, square root of 3. Rationalizing it, this one is square root of 3 over 3. Okay. For the second, we have the reciprocal of cosine, that is 2. For this one, the reciprocal of square root of 3 over 2, the square root of 3 over 2 is, this is 2 over square root of 3. I'm solving for cosecant. So this is square root of 3 over 3, rationalizing it. This is 2 square root of 3 over 3. This is 2 square root of 3 over 3. Okay. We can now find the values of the remaining, since we know that this one is, of course, square root of 3 over 2, and this one is 1/2. Square root of 3 over 2, and this one is 1/2. Square root of 3 over 2, and this one is, of course, 1/2. They only vary in signs. For the second quadrant, 120, our sign is positive, so therefore that is square root of 3 over 2. So our cosine there, or our x, is negative, that is negative 1/2. Divide, it's negative. Divide, it's negative. This one is the reciprocal of this, so this is negative 2. This is the reciprocal, so this one is 2 square root of 3 over 3. 240 degrees, we have y and x are both negative, so negative square root of 3 over 2, negative 1/2. Okay, so negative is positive, it's positive square root of 3. It's positive square root of 3 over 3. So they are both negative. This one is 2 and negative 2 square root of 3 over 3. For the 300 degree angle, we have, of course, our y is negative. So this is negative square root of 3 over 2. Our x is positive, that's 1/2. You divide, it's negative. You divide, it's negative. And then this one is, of course, positive. And this one is negative. Let's take this example now. Given theta, find the exact values of the 6 circular functions. So the first angle is 60 degrees. So this one is 60 degrees. I will be illustrating it. Approximately, this one is 60 degrees. And then as I have said, we need to connect it to the x-axis always to form a right triangle like this. So this one is a 30 by 60 right triangle. The longer side has a length of square root of 3 over 2, and the shorter side is of course 1/2. This one is your y and this one is your x. We can now find the 6 circular functions. So this one is sine 60, cosine 60, tangent 60, cotangent 60, secant 60, and of course cosecant 60. So sine 60, this is sine the y, that is square root of 3 over 2. Cosine 60, that is 1/2. You get the, of course, ratio of sine cosine. This is sine over cos. So this one is square root of 3 over 2 over 1/2, that is square root of 3. And for the cosine 60, we have of course 1/2 over square root of 3 over 2. Rationalizing it, it's square root of 3 over 3. For secant 60, secant is the reciprocal of cosine, so this one is 2 over 1 or 2. Cosecant of 60, that is 2 over square root of 3. Rationalizing it, it's 2 square root of 3 over 3. Number 2, the given theta here is 5 pi over 4. I will be converting this into degrees. So this is 5 times 180 over 4. This one is of course 45. So 45 times 5, this is equivalent to 225 degrees. And that 225 degrees is located here. This one is 225 degrees. Let's see. Again, I will be connecting it here to the x. Okay. And that's it. We know that this one is a 45 by 45 90-degree angle. We can now find the 6 circular functions: sine, cosine, tangent, cotangent, secant, and cosecant. And of course, this one is 225 degrees. 225, 225, 225, 225, and 225. Okay. So we know that the length of these two are congruent or the same or equal, and they are both equal to square root of 2 over 2. But of course, your y here is negative and your x here is also negative. So therefore, they are both negative. Okay. So tangent now, when you divide sine by cosine, that is 1. Cosine, when you divide cosine over sine, that is 1. Get the reciprocal of this. This is negative 2 over square root of 2 times square root of 2 over square root of 2. This is 2 square root of 2 over 2 negative. So this is negative square root of 2. They are both negative square root of 2. Number 3, we have negative 120 degrees. Where is negative 120 degrees here? So the rotation of the angle is of course clockwise this time. So this one is of course our negative 120 angle. And of course, as I have said, always connect it to the x. So this one is a 30 by 60 right triangle. So the shorter side is of course equivalent to 1/2. And the longer side is equivalent to square root of 3 over 2. Again, shorter side 1/2. And then the longer side is square root of 3 over 2. We can now find, of course, the 6 trigonometric functions here. Sine, cosine, tangent, cotangent, secant, and cosecant. So the given angle is negative 120. Negative 120, negative 120, negative 120, negative 120, negative 120 degrees. Okay. So this is equivalent now to our sine in the third quadrant, or our y in the third quadrant is negative. So therefore this one is negative. Our y is square root of 3 over 2. Our x is also negative, and the shorter side is negative 1/2. Okay? We know that tan negative 120 is just the ratio of the two. So therefore, this is equivalent to square root of 3. Negative negative is positive. So get the reciprocal of this. This one is 1 over square root of 3 times square root of 3 over square root of 3. Rationalizing it, this is square root of 3 over 3. And of course, positive. For this, since they are both negative, of course, it's negative. So I will be getting first the reciprocal of this. This one is 2. And the reciprocal of this is 2 square root of 3. 2 over square root of 3. So this one is equivalent to negative 2 square root of 3 over 3. Number 4, we have negative pi. The given theta is negative pi. And this one is, of course, the negative pi here. The rotation is, of course, clockwise. So therefore, how are we going to get the 6 trigonometric? Again, sine, cosine, tangent, cotangent, secant, and cosecant. So this one is negative pi, negative pi, negative pi, negative pi. Okay. So, we know that sine here, we do not have any y here. If you do not have that, that is 0. So, we have negative x here, and the length of this is 1. Therefore, it's negative 1. So, tangent is just the ratio of this. This one is 0. 0 over negative 1 is 0. Cotangent, negative 1 over 0 is undefined. For secant, we have the reciprocal of this, it's negative 1. For cosecant, we have the reciprocal of this, 1 over 0, that is undefined. That's it.